So let me ask you a question. Have you ever been on one of those live streams? Whether it's, let's just say it's a webinar, or it's just, it's a presentation, or it's an inherent live stream, and you get this. The person on camera is like this. They're like, hey, or maybe they're even kind of looking over like this. Hey, how's it going, guys? Well, today we're talking about camera placement. Some tips, ways to look good on camera. Now, I know we said that it was about looking good on camera. This ain't about your hair. It's ain't about your makeup. It's not about your cool glasses. By the way, these are a dollar store. They're blue, but they work. No, this is about ways to position the camera and address the camera so you look better on camera and you make a deeper connection. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is a show we called Behind the Live. We actually still call it that. Zip, that's me right there, Behind the Live. Yeah, I am Kevin Colby, and I am so excited you are here. And one of the things we do every other Friday, and this happens to be that Friday, is we do this show, and when I say we, I need to find this one. I mean we as in Ecamm Live. So this is a show that we do together. It's powered by Ecamm Live, which I'm telling you, folks, is the absolute best live streaming option out there, period. Yes, it is Mac only. I'm sorry if you're not on a Mac. Maybe that's a reason to get a Mac. I don't know. But look, it's what I use to live stream with and actually do some other produce stuff too. We're going to do some fun stuff today talking about just some bad ways to be on camera and some tips, some easy tips. But if you're interested in Ecamm Live, I would highly recommend it. There's a link down in the description. You can check it out for 14 days free. I don't even think there's a credit card required. I'm not sure about that. Don't quote me, just between us. But check it out. It is absolutely phenomenal. And one of the features they have, because you may need this, because today we're talking about, like this, bad camera placement, right? But one of the things they have in there is something called a virtual camera. And if you don't know what that means, it just means you can take the power of Ecamm and make it your camera. So like if you're on a Zoom presentation or something like that, and then you get all of this other cool stuff. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. Look, if you are watching on either the Ecamm site or my site, please consider subscribing, because that way we know that we're producing content you like. If you have any ideas, let us know, and then drop a comment and say, hey, I'm watching from, or just say, hey, or if you got any questions, or as we're sharing some tips later, then let us know. Wait a minute. Says, oh no, it looks like our pages aren't connected. Oh no. So where am I going live to? So this is one of the things with live. I don't know what we should do. I tell you what, I'm going to keep going, and we'll see what happens. Okay, and we'll figure this out later. So we could restart it. So if, trying to figure out. So I tell you what, if you are in the comments and you're watching, let me know. If, it says I'm live on the Ecamm page and not mine. Weird. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. You know what? We're going to keep going. So, just in case, it is me. I'm Kevin Colby. And so today, we're only live on the Ecamm page. But you know what? Look, here's the thing. This isn't the topic for today. But when you live stream, things can go happen. So I set this up, 2 weeks ago. And I'll be honest, I didn't go back and check it through Restream, and probably something changed. So no biggie. If you still want to go to my to my page, it's youtube.com/Kevin Colby. I'd love you to subscribe either page. And just a reminder, this is powered by Ecamm. Check it out. So one of the things we're talking about today is bad camera placement. Now, let me know in the comments. Please tell me it's not just me. I'm not the only person that's ever been on one of these webinars or one of these, Google Hangouts or whatever, that people are framed like this. Or they're not even watching the camera. They're looking somewhere else. And it's just annoying. It's really annoying. So today, see, I'm looking at the wrong camera. Today, I'm going to share some don'ts, the things you do not want to do. And then I'm going to share some easy tips. Oh, sorry. And then I'm going to share some easy tips really easy tips on ways that you can address the camera better. And some of them you don't have to buy anything. A couple of them you might want to. So let's get into right now this. So these are what I call don't ever do this. Ain't nobody got time for this. Now, don't ever place the camera where you're looking up somebody's nose. What's wrong with you? Now, thankfully, the nose that volunteered for today is clean. But just, you don't want to be looking up somebody's nose, right? Can I get an amen in the comments? You just don't want that. The other thing you don't want to do is... Oops. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the comments to figure out where we're live. I know we're live somewhere. So we're either live on Ecamm's page or my page. Either way, it's all good. But don't position the camera where you, the person on camera, are looking down at somebody. I mean, tell me if that's ever happened to you where, somebody puts the camera up so high they're looking down. I mean, look, years ago, when I worked in television, we were very aware when we would shoot, what we called it image campaigns with our anchors, and I'm Bob and I'm Sue and we're here to give the news to you. But we never, ever positioned the talent, as we would call them, where they were looking down on somebody. Because what happens is there's so much emotion conveyed with a camera. And if you position your camera where you are looking down on the person you're talking to, it doesn't come off as very good. So don't do that. Another one you don't want to do is just bad positioning. Now, you remember how I started the broadcast like this? I mean, what if I had been way back here like this? I mean, it's just no reason to do that. Yeah, Metagross, I like that, saying, yeah, it happened a lot on Zoom and still happens on Zoom. And that's why we're doing this today, to kind of help you get over that. So framing is so essential. So what should you do? You ready? Try and get your camera as close to eye level as possible. Now, I love this shot. It's a dad and his son. They're having fun. You can actually kind of see the reflection in the sunglasses where they're looking down, but it doesn't look as bad as the other dude I showed you a second ago, right? So camera placement can play a major role. So right now, it looks like, you tell me, does it look like I'm looking at you directly in the eye? I'll give you a second. Is it uncomfortable? Sorry, I didn't mean to be. But I like you. You look great today, by the way. I don't know what you're doing with your hair, but you look great. But right now, it looks like I'm looking at you. But the reality of it is, you ready? I'm going to go to this. I hope it's going to work. We'll see. I've got a camera back over here. Hello? And the reason I'm showing you this camera, I'm going to go to this split for a second. The reason I'm showing you this camera is because I want to show you, and by the way, I'm just going to let you know now, I'm running what's called a dummy battery on my M50 here, and I don't have one on that one, so if it goes dark, it goes dark. But I'm showing you where my camera is. So right now, again, look at the right side of the screen. I'm looking right at you. But can you see where my head is? It's actually looking up above because I have my camera mounted just above my monitor. Now, part of the reason is there was an old setup I used to have where I had it on a little bitty tripod, and I'll show you the tripod in just a minute. And I set it between me and the monitor. But now what I do is I have it mounted, and it's on something called, I call it a Manfrotto magic arm. It's actually called a friction arm or something like that. But it mounts to, it doesn't screw into your desk, it mounts to it, and it keeps my camera in place. Now I also have a Sigma 16mm on there, and it blurs out the background. So look, I'll go back to this. See the blurry background? But that's a real blur. It's not a virtual blur. You know, we can get into virtual backgrounds later and sometimes how that doesn't look great. But what I want to show you is, I'll go back to this, is right here. So there's my webcam. I'm going to go to it right now. We're going to make this look better in just a minute. So just go with me. And then there is my M50. In fact, you can even see the flip out screen right there. Now, and this will give you another idea. You can actually see what I'm seeing from the Ecamm dashboard. So if you notice, see that? See how it's moving? I actually even put this is just a little bonus hack. I put my screen up closer to the monitor. So when I'm talking, I know it's here. I've got my comments over here, and I have to look over the comments, and that's okay. But that's how I have mine set up. Now, if I were taller, like Adrian Salisbury, I don't know how tall he is. I'm guessing he's maybe 7 foot. I don't know. I think he's tall. But there's a lot of guys that Sean Cannell is very tall. That because I have a very, very, in fact, can you see it there? I have a very slight. It's tilted down just a little, just a tad. So I'm not tall enough, unless I stand up, I'm not tall enough to shoot exactly straight. But the angle looking down on me, here, I'll just go solo. The angle looking down on me is I think personally, it's enough. Does that make sense? It's not very big. I'm sitting up in my chair. I'm not slouching. That's another way to look good. But the reason I was showing you this is to show you how I have mine set up. Then I have my webcam sitting right there on top of my monitor. And then I don't use my FaceTime camera, but I don't block it just in case I need it. You never know when you're going to need it because things like that happen. So let's say you don't have this type of setup. But let me show you a couple of things first. I'm going to go back to this. Now, if you can tell here, notice how I've got my monitor. It's kind of, this is nothing special. All these Mac monitors do this, right? So here's a tip. Well, let me get back to this thing for 1 second. The reason that you don't want to angle too far down or too far up, or you want to try and be as maybe as close to the center of the screen. Even look at the split shot, I'm still in the middle of the screen, right? And the reason you want to do that is because imagine you go to a coffee shop. One day when we can do that again, imagine you're at a coffee shop and the whole time somebody's not even looking at you, or they're looking down, or they're looking over your head. It'd be like, dude or dudette, I'm right here. When you're on camera and you're as close to eye level as you can be, and you're not in their face unless you're doing it for effect, like I just did it. You're not too far away. It's kind of like, think of it as a conversation zone. You're having a conversation with a person. So one tip I would give you is don't think of broadcasting, even though we are. There's a lot of people watching today, evidently just on the Ecamm Live channel. That's okay. That's my fault. But think of it as you're talking to one person and how you would talk to that person. You don't want the person standing over you. You don't want a person, you don't want to be looking up their nose, right? I have a thing that I try and do. When I talk to little kids, I will bend down. And by the way, I'm not that tall either. So it doesn't take long to bend down, but I'll bend down so I'm more on their level talking to them. So here's some tips, and they're easy tips. Now, I'm gonna go to the split screen so you can see what I do here. So let's say you're on a webcam, right? I'm gonna move it like this. Now, watch this. I don't know exactly what it's gonna look like yet, but look how it changed. So when I opened the show, it was like this. All I did was slant it down. Now, I'm a little off center because right now I'm actually playing for my M50, but just look at that. It didn't cost me anything. I just had to move the monitor a little. If you're on a laptop and you're using an external camera, all you've got to do is just move the lid a little. Now, if you're using the built-in camera, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go back to here. If you're looking at the built-in camera, the FaceTime camera, same thing. And again, how many of you guys have been on a meeting where the person has, and when I say meeting or a video live stream or a conference, the person has their laptop on the desk, flapped back, and then they're talking and they're just barely in the frame. I think that's annoying, and you can look so much better. So you can use these tips whether you're giving a presentation, you're making a sales pitch, you're just producing a video, you're live streaming. So by just that simple little, again, I'll go back to this, do that simple little tilt. Oops, sorry, I moved it the wrong way. And again, you can see it a little bit right there. I can't go back further because the friction arm has a big knob back there. So, but tilting it. So let's say you're on a laptop, and you're whether you're tall or not, you could put the laptop up on books if you wanted to stand. I know they make those what do they call them? The little standing desks, not the big ones, but you can get I think I've seen them for $100 and something on Amazon, where they literally will sit on your desk and they kind of rise up. Put your laptop there. If you need to put it on books or something like that, just so you can get as close to that as possible. And you remember where I was showing you this again, where my camera is. Let me do this. Where my camera is. So right now I'm pointing at the lens. Let me see if it'll pick up on my hand. There we go. Right? I'm pointing at the lens, but you can see where you would be. And that takes practice, because it's like on a phone. A lot of times what happens is when people are shooting their phone, when they're shooting like this, right? What ends up happening is they look here. But in reality, if you're using the front lens, if you're using the selfie lens, the lens is right here. So it feels very weird, because what you want to do is you want to be looking over here while you're shooting your video or going live. So but when the video comes out, when the live stream comes out, it looks like you're looking right here. So I'll give you an example, a practical example right now. So right now, I'm looking at my monitor. I'm not looking at you. See what I mean? But by me just going up that far, all of a sudden I'm making eye contact. So let me give you a couple of other options here. This is called, it's called a Readicam. I'll try and put a link in the description if it picks it up. This, believe it or not, is a tabletop tripod. It doesn't get very tall, but you can make it taller if you want to, right? And, oops, now I put it back together. It's got the head. Oops. Sorry, should have worked out. Anyway, you get the point. There you go. So, tabletop tripod. In my old office, my old studio office, I had this between me and the monitor, and I had my camera sitting on top of it, and that way I could always make that direct contact and see it. The problem was always the monitor was kind of in the way and stuff like that. But the reason I mention this, I don't know how much this is. It's not very much, but it's sturdy. It's sturdy, and I mean, you could also use it for other things. If you had a second camera, you could do that. Another one of my favorites, I am so partial to Joby. Now, the Jobys don't come with a ball heads. I mean, they come with this. Actually, they do. But you can even add something to it. I also have a switch pod. I personally prefer the Joby. But the switch pod is also very good. If you do get a switch pod, I would get a swivel head for it. It doesn't come with that because you may want that to adjust your camera. And here's the thing, guys. You can put a bracket on this and use it for your iPhone. You can use it for any kind of camera. I've had all my cameras on something like this. But again, you could put this in front of you. The nice thing about the Joby is you can wrap the legs around. If you haven't seen this, these things are incredible. You can wrap the legs around something. And so what happens is if that's what you need, you move the camera where it needs to go, so you're making more contact like that. Does that make sense? I mean, this is all about talking to your viewer. Somebody says yes. Meg says, I'm on a Logitech 720p webcam. So this webcam, let me see if find the button, is right here. This webcam, I'm going to tilt it down. That's a 1080p. This is a Logitech C920. I don't know how old it is, but it works and it looks fine. And now, of course, when the pandemic hit and everything like that, all the prices started jacking up. So, but the tips I'm giving you, you can do with your iPhone or your Droid device. You can do with any camera. So it's just a matter of positioning where you're looking more at the person rather than somewhere else. And again, it's, if like here, I want to be able to see the comments. I'm going to look over a couple of times. I want to be able to see the camera, but I want to be talking to you. And sometimes I think people have a hard time. Let me know if you're this way. They have a hard time when they're live streaming versus video, because I can start and stop and all that stuff like that. So I hope those tips help. It's not that hard, but what you want to do is get in that communication zone, look somebody in the eye and say, "You look marvelous, marvelous." Hey, I'm Kevin Colby, and this is Ecamm Live. Normally, we multicast on both channels. I'm going to see what happened, but that was on me. Hey, if you've got some tips, even though we're done for now, or you're watching this later, you haven't watched it live, drop a tip down. Let the rest of the community know what you think in a different way that you've used to, maybe hide the camera, or not hide the camera, but place the camera, something like that. Because we would love to know what you think about the show and things like that. And I tell you what, I'm ready to get out of here. Cue the DJ. We'll see you next time.